things at the start should not look that polished. I would say after a one shot is 40% of the way there. Honestly, 30% of the way there. Hello, builders. Keeping on this vlog, day 3 now, and I wanted to showcase something that I think is really important and something that I need to drive home for myself, and I hope for other developers, and indie hackers, is that things at the start should not look that polished. Like 3K stars is more polished than what I'm going to be showing you as being something that I worked on today, right? And was partially the focus of today, which was to transition one of my projects called Omega Wars, which is a Warno or War Game Red Dragon style game with RTS features and trying to merge certain features that are from Company of Heroes 3, one of the prominent RTSs in the World War II kind of genre or world environment and storyline, and kind of introduce some of the really polished work that we've done with 3K stars, which is more of a StarCraft styled game, inspired game. And I just wanted to show, like, this is what the game looks like at the very earliest stages. There's no polish here. This is just hot off the presses. This is what is given to me. And so to go from this to eventually this means a lot of different cycles. And I think for a lot of people, we think about using AI, and especially the detractors, it's just like, oh, we're kind of, throwing a bunch of stuff on the screen, and then eventually AI does everything, and there's no talent needed by the human. And I just want to show that this, which is essentially the one shot, right, to fork 3K stars and to adopt it into what is needed for Omega War, um, there's a gap here, right? And, taking accountability, I could be better at prompting or working with 5.6 Soul and understanding it better in order to get the one shot even closer to what I want. Or the other alternative is to repeatedly work on it and polish this, right? And get assets in there and to increasingly get this, right, very basic gameplay kind of slice, right? And there's a lot of different ones, um, to something that is more polished, like 3K stars, where, there's a lot of, autoplay kind of things, right? Like being able to, do cool, different things like that, right? And, being able to have polish in a game as opposed to just having, these little bricks on a screen, right? Um, like just being able to show, like, hey, we can progress and move. And obviously there's some debugging stuff here to just show like how these things are kind of traveling, and we hit bugs, right? And we have some live diagnostic to be able to help us out with, right? So obviously this is nowhere near complete, but this is day 1 of a product, right? And hopefully this gives you an impression of like there's a lot of work that needs to be done still as a sort of agentic developer to be able to get this from A to B. And when we're astounded by tools like or models like Fable 5 or Opus 5, 5.6, and the ability to one shot something, to get you in some range, right? This, I would say, after a one shot, is 40% of the way. Honestly, 30% of the way there, which means there's 70%. Now that means that I can either accept this in the way that it is and iterate on it, or what I'm more likely to do is to ask it to try again, kind of archive this, try again, and we need things to learn from, right? And methods of polish and whatnot, right? What can we learn from 3K stars that we can transfer over to Omega War and be able to create a better video game, right? Because if we look at just like, being able to do movement, right? Obviously we have right click causing a context window pop up. You can use left click and, nothing happens, honestly. There was a specific request with a World War II style game as opposed to a sort of StarCraft 2 game, right? In StarCraft 2, units are very, twitchy, right? You can, micro is important, right? S to stop means that the unit stops on a dime, right? You can A move and A click, A click, A click, stop, A click, stop, A click, stop, right? And be able to micro really effectively. Well, for the atmosphere of a World War II style game, right, we need better acceleration, right? That units don't just, they're not super twitchy, right? We have, sort of wind-ups, if you will, right? Ways to accelerate into movement. We have infantry. Infantry doesn't just start on a dime, right? They need to adjust. Now, this seems a little bit skatey, in my opinion, right? People don't just skate around, right? It would be like stop, pivot, and change direction and then move, right? Um, you know, make units feel physical without sluggishness. Infantry, I feel like, should be a little bit more sluggish. Vehicles, on the other hand, maybe not. But even with something like a Sherman, right, you need to have a startup, right? So like a shake and then movement, right, to just kind of fit into the atmosphere a little bit. And by doing simple animations like just the shaking of a unit before it actually starts moving, as if the engine starts up, right, or is sputtering as it's getting going, right, really fits with the atmosphere and allows for us to have different styles of movement, which differentiates a game like Omega War compared to, right, a game like 3K Stars, right, in the StarCraft style. Very twitchy, Korean pro gamer micro, comparing to an Omega War, which, oh gosh, I gotta fix that, is sort of a more thoughtful, tactical experience and something that fits more of a somber tone, right, in a World War II style game. So basically, something to explore and to work on going forward. And, I'm really excited with what Omega War can bring. I'm a huge fan of the Eugen games, right? And Warno. I enjoy that game and those style of games. Steel Division 2 and I enjoy Company of Heroes 3. The standalone game is coming out and actually gave me some um inspiration on some content that could be created around like video games and indie developing with AI and being able to, how can we get AI to produce certain types of gameplay features and slices in a proper manner, right? Whether it's we create it once and then we can try to get it to clone it, which this is just one experiment, but so far not the most fruitful, right? Using 5.6 Soul on medium, so it's not X high or anything too crazy, right? There remains to see how Fable 5 does it or some of the others. We're just, this is baseline level, right? So there might be some content that I might make around that. But I think video games is something that on one hand is very interesting to me. I'm still trying to figure out how to record the mobile side. So there's mobile apps, mobile video games, mobile stuff that I have that I'm working on. I'd love to showcase. I'm just trying to figure out how to commentate over it and record it at the same time, which I think will involve a little bit of thoughtfulness, like more scripting and, more choreographed like recordings with me kind of talking over it, right, in a way. So still figuring that out, might experiment with it in a future vlog, so that we can talk about stuff that's more on the B2B or, non-video game business to consumer end. So that's day 3. Still no revenue. September 29th is fast approaching, I'm sure. So we need to get on it. But, just wanted to record this, just to hopefully help people, feel like, hey, every step, you got to start somewhere. And obviously, this is something that's not really polished, but hopefully, as the coming days come along, we'll see Omega War being more polished, 3K stars being wrapped into a cohesive game experience, and we can move from there. So, thank you so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe, and comment down below what type of content you'd like to see on the channel. And please hit the notification bell to get notified on the next vlog, which will be tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, everybody. Thank you.